Hey guys, it's your old pal Tony Giles TG here, welcoming you to the debut episode of The Record Room. And well, if you found your way here, there is a good chance you're familiar with one or two of the podcasts I hosted over on the Damn Fine Network. If you're not though, let me just say this. I hosted a podcast dedicated to film music, so soundtracks and scores, for about 4.5 years, and the main focus over there was playing and talking about vinyl records. And I love film music. What you can see behind me, this is a portion of my soundtracks on vinyl collection. But the truth is, I'm a fan of all genres. I'm just a big fan of music. And as that podcast came to an end, I still wanted to find a way to talk about and share my record collection and my passion for record collecting. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm sitting in my record room. I've got a camera in front of me and a couple of lights beside me, and I'm going to go through and show you some new pickups, some of the things in my collection, and also offer up some of my tips and tricks for record collecting. And as this is the debut episode, I've got all new stuff to share with you. When I conceived the idea of this, I had a whole bunch of other records to show you, but time's gone on and I've added some new things. So I'm going to kick off now with the brand new album from Ozzy Osbourne. And this is Ordinary Man, which came out a couple of weeks ago as of recording this. And as you can see, this is actually a picture disc. And I'll take it out of the sleeve because you might be getting some shine there. But it's a pretty cool disc, I will say that. You know, I understand there are people out there that they don't dig picture discs for one reason or another. Yes, the sound quality is this or that. Truth be told, record production has come such a long way since picture discs were originally made and conceived that, to me, they really don't sound that bad. Yes, there is a slight difference. There is a slight noise that you can kind of, if you're looking for it, if you're listening for it, you'll hear it. But for me, I just think picture discs are cool, and I own enough records in my collection that are on coloured vinyl, on splattered vinyl, or variants, and have different weird effects, that having the odd picture disc really isn't a big deal to me. The album itself comes on a couple of different variants, actually. There's a black vinyl version, there's a picture disc, and there's also, I believe, a black and white marble version. And for some reason, they're all different prices. I don't know why they would all be different prices, because roughly they're all going to be about the same to make. But I chose the picture disc because I just love picture discs. And to be honest with you, I think it looks really cool. You know, this is the first Ozzy album we've had in a very long time, and it's not classic Ozzy. I'm going to say that now. It's not Bark at the Moon Part 2. It's not even, you know, The Ultimate Sin Part 2. This album to me sounds a lot like kind of late 90s, early 2000s rock or metal to a very small extent. And that's my wheelhouse. I love heavy music from that period. And being British, you know, we're kind of, I don't know if I'm predisposed to like Ozzy, but I love this record. There's no two ways about it. Of the 10 tracks that you actually get on the vinyl, I honestly don't think there's a bad track on the album. Under the Graveyard, the latest single, I think is superb. I think Ordinary Man, the ballad he does with Elton John, is great. And I'm also a big fan of the track It's a Raid, featuring Post Malone. And small confession, I've never heard a Post Malone song in my entire life, so I didn't know what to expect. I knew there was some kind of controversy around on the internet about Post Malone and Ozzy, but as an album goes, 10 tracks, I'd say at least 8 of them are excellent, and the other 2 are pretty good as well. So for my money, Ozzy Osbourne's Ordinary Man is well worth checking out. And as I say, the album's out now. You can check it out on all digital service providers. If you do that kind of thing, if you want to try before you buy, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, where people get music from digitally, definitely check out Ozzy Osbourne's Ordinary Man. From one former band member to another, and this one this has a story behind it. It's a very old album. In fact, it's Paul McCartney and Wings' Band on the Run, and even though this album came out originally in, when is it, 72, 71, something along those lines, I got this about a month ago, and the reason I got this is because it was a gift from my lovely wife for Valentine's Day. And you know how sometimes a song will get stuck in your head for no reason whatsoever? Well, Band on the Run was that song for me, and I think I drove my wife and daughter mad by constantly singing Band on the Run, or Jet as well. Two fantastic songs. And I have to say, outside of the Beatles and potentially the Frog Chorus when I was a kid, I've never really listened to Wings or Paul McCartney's solo efforts. And I think I've done myself a disservice because this album is absolutely fantastic. I love everything about this album, and I'm sentimentally attached to it already because it was a gift, but it's fantastic. And what's great about this is an original press. It comes with a nice picture in a sleeve rather, not in a gatefold. Lyrics on one side, picture on the other, and of course, it being an album from the 70s, comes on this gorgeous black vinyl, which I'm just going to throw this out there now. I love black vinyl. I do love coloured vinyl, and I love the crazy effects and picture discs, as you've just seen, but there's something classy about black vinyl, which I love. So it comes on black vinyl. And what else is pretty cool about it, and I didn't know they really did this back then, outside of like Kiss and a few other bands, but it also comes with this really cool poster, which I'll try and go back so you can see all of it. And this is essentially Polaroids of the band working on the songs in the studio, as well as, some candid shots, which I think is really cool. I really do. And Band on the Run has been reissued countless times over the years. And if you've not heard the whole album, like me, if you know the song Band on the Run, go and check out the whole album. It's really, really good. To the point where I've also recently picked up a copy of Wings' Greatest Hits because I don't know, I've been bitten by the bug, and I'm going to blame my wife for that. But it's a really good album. I definitely recommend it to everybody. And of course, as I said with the Ozzy Osbourne, if you want to try before you buy it, you can definitely check this out anywhere that you get digital music. But as far as I'm concerned, for the money, it's well worth hunting down an OG copy, as you never know, you may get lucky and you may get that sweet insert. Now, moving swiftly on, as I mentioned at the top of the show, I hosted a podcast for around 4.5 years dedicated to film music, so soundtracks and scores and kind of related material, and there will be a ton of film music chat over the course of the Record Room's lifespan. So if you are a fan of film music, definitely keep an eye on the Record Room. But the record I want to talk about now, this is one of the latest releases from the Invada label, based out of Bristol, and this is the score for the British film Bait. And the easiest way to describe this record, other than being fantastic by the way, the easiest way to describe this record is to say that it's very, very much in line with a drone album. So if you're a fan of those unnerving tones, you are definitely going to love Bait. It's definitely one of those scores I recommend if you kind of, even as far as if you're a Doom fan or a Stoner fan, you just like to put on a record and just, whew, this is the score for you. Bait is absolutely superb. I'd put it up there with Hilda Gudnadottir's score for Chernobyl, or maybe Ben Frost's scores for Dark, which are well worth checking out as well. It's a superb album. What's cool about it as well is the film that this is the score to. The film was directed, written, and composed by one person, Mark Jenkins. One dude did all of this. And I heard the score before I saw the film, so I was used to the music. But then when I saw the film, the music, it changed. It took on a whole new life, which is something you don't always get with film music. And it's something I always look out for. If a soundtrack sounds one way against the movie, but then you go home and you listen to it and it takes on this whole other life, well, that to me is like getting two things for the price of one. And Bait definitely did that. I'd listened to the score quite a few times before I'd actually seen the film. And after seeing the film, I have to say, I fell in love with it a little bit more. And I'd recommend seeing the film. It's not going to be for everybody. And it's hard to even describe what the film is. It's not a horror film. It's definitely tense. There's definitely dramatic elements, but I wouldn't call it a drama. It's just unlike anything I've seen in a long, long time. So that's definitely one reason to check it out. And there are two different vinyl versions available from Invada Records. I have the web shop version here, which is this blue marbly type vinyl. And it looks good and it sounds great. You really can't ask for much more than that. But Bait, available from the Invada web store, which is where you can get this version from. But not only that, the album is also available at retail as well on a light blue vinyl. So if you don't like that version or you have trouble tracking that one down, definitely check it out at retail. You also get this really nice inner as well on some nice cardstock there with some information about the tracks and this lovely middle-aged couple on the other side, which these are characters in the film. So don't just think, oh, that's nice, the composer's put a picture of his parents on it. No, these are actually characters from the film, so it all ties together. But definitely, Bait is another thing that I would recommend trying before you buy, simply because I know it's not going to be for everybody, but for those of you out there that it's for, you are going to love it. Now, although this show is called The Record Room, I did toy it for a very, very small amount of time with calling the show The Record and Cassette Room. But truth be told, I don't own anywhere near the amount of cassettes that I own records, but I do own a fair amount and they are growing constantly. So from time to time, I will be featuring the odd cassette release on The Record Room. And in fact, I just so happen to have one here. This is the latest cassette that I've added to my collection. And this is Doom Came to Red Hill from Pentagram Home Video. And this is an artist I have literally been with since day one. I have every cassette release he has released. I also have all of his albums on vinyl as well. And this is part of the Red Hill series. And essentially the Red Hill series are ghost stories on cassette, set to music by Pentagram Home Video. And this, like the others, this is a ghost story by Everett Ursoy and Pentagram Home Video. And the filmmaker Glenn McQuaid also makes an appearance on this cassette as well. And you get some nice eerie music, which I'm a fan of, and you get a truly original and quite terrifying ghost story, which I won't give the game away, but there's definitely something in that story that really kind of put a very, very big smile on my face. And the cassette itself, I believe this is now sold out. It actually comes on this pretty cool red shell, but I think this is sold out. And in fact, most of the Pentagram Home Video cassettes, I think they usually run for about 100 copies a time. They usually sell out almost instantly, at least within a couple of hours. So if the idea of kind of an eerie, spooky ghost story set to ambient electronic music on a cassette appeals to you, definitely start following Pentagram Home Video on social media, because he's done a few of these now. I believe this is the third in the Red Hill series, and I think there are more to come as well. So keep an eye out for this, but if there are no physical copies available, you can still listen to the story and the previous ones over on Pentagram Home Video's Bandcamp page. And I definitely recommend you do so, especially when it's late at night and the lights are very, very low. Now, how do you follow a ghost story? Well, you pick things up, you lighten the mood, you bring in something to put a smile on everybody's face. And there's only one artist I know that's capable of doing that. My man Prince. That's right, this is the album 3121 that wasn't originally commercially released at the time of the album's release. I bought this on CD when it came out. Quick disclaimer. You know how some people have a favorite band or a favorite musician or a group, or somebody they follow, they have an extensive collection. Prince is my guy. I've been buying, listening to and loving Prince records since about, well, let me just put it this way, it's around 30 years now. And when this came out, I really thought this was a true to form, Prince is back. Like, this is it, he's back. Wow, 3121 is a great slow groove number. Black Sweat is just filth. It's just funky. It's just filthy as all get out. It's absolutely superb. And since Prince's passing, we have seen a slew of reissues. 3121 has come out, Musicology. We've had the Prince Originals album, which is new material to an extent. It's original songs Prince wrote for other artists, or songs that other artists have covered. So you have things like Manic Monday on there, Sex Shooter, and just a bunch of other stuff. And at first I was kind of a little bit on the fence about this whole Prince reissue catalogue because Prince didn't want this stuff around at the time, but now I'm happy to have these things in my collection. And as I mentioned, this wasn't commercially available around the time of release, but I do know there was a DJ promo, which before Prince's death, you did see occasionally on Discogs or eBay, and it never went for crazy money, but ever since Prince died, it skyrocketed. So when I actually went to kind of, I want to add 3121 to my collection, it was just, price prohibitive. But luckily enough, you can now pick up this really nice 2 LP version of the album, because the album is 2 LPs, it's quite long. It comes in a gatefold sleeve, nice picture of what I assume to be somewhere in Paisley Park there, which it looks very inviting. And the Prince back catalogue, or the Prince release schedule, apart from, there's one album that's been released so far, the Piano and a Microphone album, that came on black vinyl, but all the others, as far as I know, have come on this really sweet purple, which looks, I don't know how much of this you're going to see, it's purple, but when you shine a light through it, which is going to be hard to do through the magic of television, but when you shine a light through it, there's a lot of black marbling, which you don't see when you just look at the record. Kind of when I'm looking down at it like this, it just looks purple. But then hold it up to a light and you will see this really nice purple marbling, which I think is pretty cool. And, Effect Records, it can be detrimental to the sound. I don't care what anybody says. It can sound good. Of course it can sound good. Does it sound as good as black vinyl? Maybe not. That one though, it looks good and it sounds great, which is, as far as I'm concerned, you will hear me say that a lot. If it looks good and it sounds great, what more can you ask for? And that's literally what all records should be. Regardless of how they look, they should always sound good. And I'm happy to say that 3121 really does kick. It sounds pretty fantastic. So if you're a Prince fan and you haven't picked up any of the reissues yet, let me just say, they are well and truly worth your time and your money. Now, as this is the debut episode, I thought I'd bring out something special to share with you guys. And this is actually a super recent addition to my collection. In fact, the day of recording this, I picked this album up today, and I actually delayed the recording of this debut episode because I knew it was coming. I, in fact, went and picked this up from a good friend of mine. And I didn't know about this album's existence for a long time, but when I found out about it, I just, kind of the desire in me, how you get that little itch at the back, it starts off as a tiny little thing, and before you know it, you just, I need it, I got to have it, what can I do to get it? Well, so this is a copy of Goblins Score for the Dario Argento film Suspiria. Okay, this is the EMI sleeve. Most of you out there, if you're film music collectors, you will probably be more familiar with the AMS sleeve, which is black. It has the big Suspiria and then the silhouette of the dancer. But this is the EMI sleeve. And I don't know if you can see this, but this up here, this is sellotape. Someone has nicely or kindly sellotaped this sleeve closed. Now, ordinarily, that would kind of be a detrimental thing, but why did they need to sellotape the sleeve shut? Well, I'll tell you. They sellotaped the sleeve shut because this isn't a real sleeve. This is actually I don't want to say a proof. It's not that. This is actually a cardboard sleeve, but it's not a sleeve in the sense like we would ordinarily see a record sleeve. There are no joins inside, essentially. It's just, it would have turned up like a gatefold, but instead of being a picture on the inside, it would have been just cardboard. And what would have been with this record, I hear you all ask, because I've done such a good job of describing the sleeve. Well, see, this would have turned up with this gatefold sleeve with no information on the inside. It's not a gatefold album, so what would have been inside? Well, I'll tell you. What you would have found inside was a 1977 Suspiria test press. These were sent out, as far as I know, to press and people reviewing the score. And I'm not quite sure how many of them there are. I know that test presses in the modern era, they are not usually done in huge runs. A lot of labels will go as far as 5 or 10 copies if they're not selling them. Some labels do sell test presses and they may go up to 25, 30 around that, but it's very rarely anything higher than that. But this is a test pressing of Suspiria from the late 70s, which I didn't know existed until very recently. As soon as I knew it existed, I had to own it. And luckily enough, I was able to get that off of a good friend of mine for a very good price. And you can find these, you can hunt them down online. They are not cheap, I will say that to you. I am a huge fan of Goblin, and I'm a huge fan of the score for Suspiria. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer, something I had to have, but not something you see every day. And I thought, you know what? Something big to share with you guys on the debut episode of The Record Room. Now, how do you follow on from a Suspiria test press? Well, you could say I've saved the beast for last, because my final item, this is a true beast of magnificent proportions. This is the Composer's Cut box set by Fabio Frizzi, released through Invada Records. And I'm not sure how much of this you can pick up, but this, look at the size of this thing. It's like 2 of my head. It's ginormous. It's absolutely huge. And this is a black velvet lined box, or black velvet covered box, and lined on the inside. And embossed in the velvet is the title of the album and the composer. And it just, the box itself, I mean, it's kind of weighty. I just, you know, I have a few box sets, I do. I'm a fan of box sets. This may well be the greatest box set I will ever own. In fact, I'm pretty sure I will be buried with this. This is coming with me to the afterlife, I will say that. And the album itself, the Beyond Composer's Cut, is Fabio Frizzi's score for the Lucio Fulci film, but remade by the composer Fabio Frizzi, who scored the original film. Essentially, there were parts of the score that were left out due to time or trimmed, and Fabio has gone back and redone the score as if it were a new composition. So the sound is just incredible, and what you get inside the box, this is going to blow your mind. So you get the Beyond Composer's Cut by Fabio Frizzi inside the box, and this is how the album comes. All versions of the album look like this. So you get this lovely thick gatefold sleeve, and it has this really sweet inside, which to me looks like kind of a 70s movie poster, which I think is pretty cool. But the version you get inside the box, this is the wax made variant, and these are made in very small numbers. And essentially what these are hand pressed records. Check that bad boy out. Hand pressed. And I know what you're wondering, but does it sound good? Bet your ass it does. It's different on both sides, which is super cool. And I know what you're thinking as well. Well, you know, it's a double LP. I'm sure both sides or both LPs look the same. Very similar, but not the same. This is sides C and D. And I have to show all of this because it's just epic. And you won't get this. You won't get the full effect of this looking at it on the screen. You just won't. There's no two ways about it. But that's side D as well. And I will be showing more Cadabra releases over the life of the Record Room, and maybe some more Wax Mage variants as well, because I am a big fan of the Wax Mage variant. But inside the box you get the Wax Mage variant of the Beyond score. You also get this lovely lithograph print signed by the composer Fabio Frizzi and the artist Jeremy Hush. And I believe this box set limited to 25 copies. This is highly collectible if you are a fan of this. So you get that inside the box. You also get, I got a couple of these little album stickers or album cover stickers, which are pretty cool. You get a poster that, no word of a lie, I'm not tall gentleman, but this poster, I believe, is roughly the same size as me. So there's part of it. It's a huge, huge pullout of the Jeremy Hush artwork, and there are so many things inside this box that I want to frame and keep and just admire forever. You also get a Beyond bath bag, or sick bag as we call them over here in the UK. But let me just say this, there will be no bathing, there will be no vomiting, there will be no sicking inside this bag. This bag will be cherished for all time. You also get this retro old school VHS cardboard stand like you would see in a record store or a video store back in the day advertising a film. And this is sweet. It has these cardboard pop outs on the back. You just pull those out and then you can sit this wherever you want, wherever it looks nice, on the dining room table, anywhere like that. On top of all that, you also get a test pressing of the album. So you get two versions of the album. The test press obviously comes on black vinyl, and it's just, I mean, as far as box sets go, what else could you possibly want? Like, I literally don't know. I'm scratching my head now. Is this quite possibly the best box set I own? Yeah, it probably is. Keep an eye on Invada Records. They're always doing some truly amazing stuff. And the next time one of these things goes on sale, they're not cheap. They are not cheap, but trust me, when you hold it in your hands, you will realize all the money you have spent has been well and truly worth it. And there you have it, folks. We've come to the end of the first episode of The Record Room. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Be on the lookout for more episodes of The Record Room coming your way in the very, very near future. I want to give a big shout out to Skojo. His help has been absolutely legendary. Without him, the show simply would not exist. A big thank you to Ogre for allowing me to use some of his killer tunes at the start and the end of the show. And also a big thanks to my man Steve over at Black & Design for yet another killer logo. Until we meet again, remember, stay gold and spin those blackest circles.